7 things I learned from working in nursing homes. And hopefully that these will resonate with you as a caregiver. And hopefully, if you're starting out as a caregiver, that you can learn some of these things ahead of time. If you're a family member, hopefully you can see the heart of at least my point of view as a caregiver in a nursing home. So, number one, kindness is definitely more important than any credentials. So that just speaks for itself. And I've seen multiple people with multiple acts of kindness every day. Yes, there are the others too. We'll talk about that in another one. So, number two, I know that families are hurting because maybe of the guilt that they shouldn't feel, but for whatever reason, you don't know their history, and the families are struggling. And maybe they act out in a different way. Maybe they disappear. Maybe they hover. Maybe they're angry. So I've just seen all kinds of family and how they act. And, you just need to have a relationship with those family members and get to know them and what makes them tick and, why they're feeling guilty or whatever reason. Just seen a lot of hurt over the years. Staff burnout is definitely a real thing. Now, let's just say from a caregiver's perspective, that is, I consider a good caregiver. Your burnout's going to be real because you're overworked, usually understaffed, and that you care so deeply sometimes, and you take it home with you, and you just watch them decline. Like maybe you've been there for a long time or even a short time, but you've gotten connected to your people and you watch them go downhill. And that's very hard emotionally, even for a caregiver, even though they're not family. Those have become like family to me. Certain people stay with you forever. And that kind of goes to the other, because I've got some people that I still remember and I can still tell you stories about, 15 years ago or whatever, because they've made a lasting impact on my life. And hopefully I made one on their life. But you just can't leave a job, whether you've been there 3 months or 30 years, without it affecting you, and hopefully that you've affected them. Small moments mean the most. So, it's not the big activities all the time or the big hoorah, whatever. Sitting by their bedside and holding their hand when they're sick or maybe when they're dying. And of course, when they're dying, you don't think it means so much, but you don't know what it means to them. And there have been so many times that I have been there when someone has passed and just sat there and held their hand and then sang their hymns that they loved or whatever, like even after they've passed and before the funeral home gets there and the family gets there. We had to clean them up and get them ready. And it was a sacred time for me. So, and maybe even just saying their name to them if they've forgotten who they are. It's just the little things that mean the most. Dementia does not take away humanity. And this is very important. I mean, dementia is it's close to my heart for lots of reasons. And of course, I said before in another video about my grandmother. But just working so closely in dementia atmospheres. And I was the head over memory care at a place. And, I think about, so we're talking about treating them with respect and dignity. And I can tell story after story. So just this one time, the CNAs were having trouble getting her to take a bath or to get dressed. No, I think it was just even to change her. And there were 2 of them in there, and all they did was get screaming and hollering. And so I went in there, and I knew something about her. I knew that she had raised German Shepherds and loved that. She did that all her life. And so, that's what you need. You need a connection point, and you treat them like the person that they are, and talk to them about, I talked to her about that. And then while we're talking about that, then I'm changing her. And it's just such a simple thing. And I think most CNAs and caregivers, especially the younger ones starting out, you need to know those things. And you need to understand that these are people with real feelings and a past long before you were around. And they had a life, and they had a family, and they had a career. And so treating them that way with respect. And I just watched this awful videos about, and these were in the UK, but still, like, hidden cameras in the rooms and showing the way that the staff was talking to these people with dementia just still blows my mind. So I would hope that doesn't happen anymore, but these were just a couple years old, so obviously it does. And maybe everybody should have a camera in their room, and just to see what is going on. The last is, sadly, all nursing homes are not created equal. There are some really good ones, and there are some really bad ones, and some not so either or whatever. I know I've had some comments on TikTok where people are saying, they're all bad. And I do have to disagree, because, every one of them probably has bad things, but they can't all be all bad. You're going to have good staff, and you're going to have bad staff, unfortunately. So, kind of like what I said in an earlier video, as far as advocating for a loved one, you need to be their voice sometimes, and sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I know, like, talking about working there and the 7 things that I learned, there are many times I had to be the advocate for somebody who didn't have family or whatever, and I've lost my job a time or two over that. I know back when I was in college and I was a CNA. Well, this was back in the early 80s, before you actually had to be certified as a CNA. And this was also before 1986, when a new law came into play about not being able to tie them down and stuff. So a lot of people were tied down. But there was this one girl who came in the room every day. There's this lady with dementia, and she believed her husband was at work and that he was coming home every day. That's what she believed. And so this girl would go in there every day and say, "Your husband's having an affair with me, and he's not coming home. He's not coming back to you. We're going off together." It would terrorize this poor woman. And so when I saw her do that one day, I went straight to the administrator as a 19, 20-year-old, and reported her. She lost her job, thankfully, and not me at that moment. But there's definitely times that you got to stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. And nowadays we do have cameras. Hopefully we have more interventions in place and things like that. And I'll talk about this in another video, but I know we've gone so far from 86 where we won't tie them down anymore to being a bed rail is considered a restraint. So we've kind of gone crazy on both ends, I think. Don't want to tie people down, and you don't want them. Some of them maybe need to be restrained for their own safety from time to time. However, that's the ruling nowadays. So the 7 things, I've learned so many things, and those are just a few, and those are important to me. Nursing homes are, they have my heart. And I feel like, even though I'm not working in one now, um, it's like I almost need to be there because I feel like I'm making a difference in somebody's life when I'm there. And I know that the last job I just left as activity director, um, my residents, miss me, and I would love to be able to see them. So anyway, it's you don't leave a job untouched. They've touched me, and I've touched their lives, and that's all that matters. So if you have any experience that you could comment below about what you feel like is important to you if you've worked there and you love your job. Like I said, I do feel like the nursing home industry, it has gotten better, but I still know there have to be, um, they're still bad. They're still bad CNAs, or there's more than not. I say they're more indifferent than they. It's not that they don't care, but there's some that just could care less whether they're there or not. It's just a job. And so many that just sit down and use their phones all day. I don't understand that concept at all. You shouldn't be able to sit down at all. I mean, it should be you're busy. There's stuff to do all day long. Um, so that's my take on nursing homes, and I am going to share some more horror stories with you and some good stories. I'm also going to try to do a video interviewing some nursing home residents and get their take on where they live and how they feel about it. So for now, y'all have a great day, and there's some resources down below, some free stuff and some other stuff. I've got a planner like for now and later, like for somebody, maybe you're at the early stages of dementia or whatever, and your family members, you need to write down all your stuff and get it organized before you don't remember anymore, or before your mother doesn't remember anymore, or your father. It's just a simple little planner. I've got some conversation cards that you can print up. I'm actually fixing mine that I've made, and I'm going to show them to you in the next video. So free resources, some of the other videos that I've talked about advocating for your loved one, and what to do and what not to do, that's down below, free. So I would be glad to hear from y'all, and y'all have a great day.